Wherever you are in the world, good day, good people, good day, and welcome to Wow, Wish Only Well television broadcast. I am your host, SherVonne Grose, marriage and family therapist, inspirational coach, and motivational speaker. I am so excited today, guys, to have with me a very special guest, an esteemed guest of honor. Our special guest today is none other than Justice Verda M. Colvin. Listen, guys, I'm not going to waste any time today. You know what we come to do on Wednesdays. We wish only well all across the world. And I am ready to get the conversation started with Justice Colvin. And before I do, let's do justice by properly introducing her and welcoming her to our WOW platform. Justice Verda M. Colvin was appointed to the Georgia Supreme Court by Governor Brian Kemp on July the 29th, 2021, after having been appointed to the Georgia Court of Appeals by Governor Kemp on April the 9th, 2020. She previously served as a Superior Court judge in the Macon Judicial Circuit, which serves Macon, Bibb, Crawford, and Peach counties, having been appointed by Governor Nathan Deal on April the 16th, 2014. Judge Colvin grew up in Southwest Atlanta. She received her BA degree from Sweetbriar College in Virginia and her Juris Doctorate from University of Georgia School of Law. Prior to her appointment, she was an assistant United States attorney in the Middle District of Georgia. Prior to her service with the federal government, she was an assistant district attorney in Clayton County, Georgia, and an assistant solicitor in Athens in Clark County, Georgia. She also served as assistant general counsel at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. All of this service followed her private practice in Charlotte, North Carolina. Judge Colvin is committed to service professionally and personally. She is a member of the Macon Bar Association, GABWA, which is the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, GAWL, which is the Georgia Association of Women Lawyers, the Rotary Downtown Club, Fuller Center of Macon, Macon Bibb Citizen Advocacy, Mount DeSales Board of Trustees, Jack and Jill of America, the Macon chapter, and several Inn of Courts. She serves as co-chair of One Macon as well. Additionally, she has continually served on various committees in her role as a jurist. She is the mother of two children, Weston and Taylor. She is married to Nathaniel Walker, with whom she shares two adult children. Listen, guys, let's welcome to the studio none other than Justice Verda M. Colvin. Hello, Justice Colvin.
How are you, Ms. Grouse? Good to be here with you.
I am great. I am super excited to have you as my very special guest. And I know that you and I are going to, wow, we're going to wish only well all across the world as we have real conversations. We are real people and we have real conversations. So I just want to thank you up front for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be a very special guest here on Wow. We do not take that lightly. So thank you so much.
And thank you for having me. I don't take it lightly either that I get a chance to just connect with people. I think that's important as leaders in our community.
Yes, I love it. I love every bit of it. Oh, I just love your spirit. You have such a sweet and humble spirit being in the position, this very esteemed position that you serve in. It's just awesome to just meet someone who has such a meek spirit. It means so much. It really does. Goes so far. So listen, we're going to jump right in because I am so excited about all of this. So listen, thinking back to your childhood, did you ever imagine that you would be where you are today in terms of your career?
Not at all. When I was, one of my girlfriends from high school told me when I was first sworn in for the Superior Court, she said, remember in high school, you said you wanted to be a judge? I have no recollection of that. I don't know if she's making it up, but I have no recollection. The only thing I wanted to do was I felt like I was born to serve. And so I wanted to find something I could do to serve others, to try to make the world a little bit better. And so it started off when I was little in that I wanted to be a missionary. And because I went to religious Christian school, Berean Christian Academy in Atlanta. My mom
Yes.
put me there because her best friend had gone to Berean and she was valedictorian of my mom's high school class. So she said whenever she had children, she was going to put them in Berean. And so because we had Bible every day, I really was immersed in Christianity. And so at first I wanted to be a missionary because I wanted to really do something to make a difference in people's lives. And my mom said, you can't be a missionary because they don't make any money. So so then I thought, as I got a little bit older, I thought, I want to be a lawyer. And she said, you should be a lawyer because you like to talk. So I kind of had in my mind that's the way that I would make a difference in the world. So I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but never contemplated doing anything beyond being, counsel for someone.
Oh my goodness, that's just awesome. That is just awesome. So, what do you think was the motivating factor behind your decision to pursue that career? The one
Again,
motivating you to think of it.
yeah, again, my quest to make a difference in the world. When I cultivated my idols when I was very young, and a
Mhm.
part of that was the school I went to. So
Mhm.
the two beings that I idolized were Jesus Christ and Martin Luther King Jr. And I think the reason why they became my idols because I felt this compulsion based upon everything I was being taught that our purpose here on earth was to serve. And so in my mind, they were the two greatest people who served in that I know of. I mean, someone who gave their whole life, in
Yes.
fact, died for us, and then the other person who was willing to put aside personal acclaim, and wealth to actually move a people to a better state in life. And I thought, man, I can never be either of them, but I'd love to just give my life to serve and give of myself to others.
Wow, that is wonderful. And it's powerful. And that attests to what I just said moments ago. It shows, I mean, that you have a servant, attitude. You see it in your heart. It displays well. You don't have to wear a cross, and it just shows in your activities. I mean, and even in your mannerisms. So, ooh, that's just really awesome. So, you've had such a journey. I mean, coming from just being an attorney in private practice, not to demean that because that means a lot. So, can
Mhm.
you just take us on your journey to becoming who you are today? How did it
Okay.
start?
So when I was in law school, of course, I wanted to help save the world, but law school is such a weird beast in that you get in this mode where they describe to you what success is, or the school doesn't describe it, but it's just the culture. And so
Right.
you have these ideas of what constitutes success. And
Mhm.
typically that's clerking for a federal judge or U.S. Supreme Court or working for a big Ivy League white firm that's very prestigious in a
Mhm.
major city. And so you kind of get caught up in that. And but I still knew I wanted to serve. So I looked for a firm that I thought would fit that bill. And I went with a firm in Charlotte, North Carolina that was very unique. They actually made sure they had people who represented everyone in our country. So we had Black, white, Jewish,
Oh,
um,
awesome.
someone who had part Native American, women, men. They really wanted a collective group, Jewish, Christian. They really sought to have a diverse firm. And that was back in 1990 when we weren't talking about DEI,
Great.
diversity, inclusion, equity. And so I just thought that was so novel. And that was in the vein of how I wanted to see the world and how I want to practice law, recognizing we're all as one. So I did that for 3 years, did a little bit of everything at that firm. It was basically you walk in the firm with a problem, we probably pretty much would handle it.
Wow.
And so yeah, so that was interesting, gave me an opportunity to really get a wide range of experience. But, firms are firms. And so at a certain point, I realized, well, I don't think I can totally live out my public service ideal there. And I had a coach for my mock trial days. That's when you emulate a real trial while you're in law
Mhm.
school and you do these competitions. And so he was my coach for mock trial. He had tried to convince me to work in Athens with him because he had become solicitor. And I kept saying no, but he was persistent. And so one day he called and I said, okay, I'll come back. And I thought that's my easy way to get back home. So I worked as a solicitor in the solicitor's office and I thought, I don't know if I can do this because I can't imagine working for the man. Because at the firm, I was able to do criminal defense work.
Great.
And so I thought, I said, well, it's just misdemeanors, 12 months in jail, $1,000 fine, nobody goes to prison. Okay, I can do that. I think I can do that. And what I found is that I had a love for it. I really honed my litigation skills and realized that was my gift. That's what I needed to be doing. I was a litigator, and I, for the first time, got to see that in the role as a prosecutor, you really get to mandate justice. You really get to ensure that people are
Right.
charged properly, that they're not charged if they shouldn't be charged, and you get to also, take care of victims of crime. So I really began to see the power that I would have in that arena
Mm.
versus being on the defense side where you just are, kind of catching up because you don't get to control anything. You're playing, catch up. And so I thought, this is something that I can do. I'm good at it. I'm a litigator. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was becoming a mother. So I was commuting at the time back and forth from DeKalb to Athens, and I knew I couldn't do that with a baby in tow. So I got a position with Clark Atlanta University as assistant general counsel. And that was novel and different. Never thought I would do contracts with stars who were coming on campus and had to have certain water, certain candy in their area before, because that was what they required. And so that was kind of fun to get a chance to do some work that was different than what I had done.
Yeah.
But I was only there for a short while, wanted to get back to prosecuting, and I was able to get a position with Clayton County DA's office. And it was a wonderful experience. I had the opportunity to work under a DA who really gave us free reign to handle our cases, to prosecute them the way they needed to be. And he would support you even when you did something that was out of the norm for a prosecutor, because he believed in us and how we handled our cases.
Wow.
So I did that for 3 years. And after that, I went to the U.S. Attorney's Office, where I served for 14 years in the Macon Judicial Circuit and did a little bit of everything, almost anything you can think of federally. I did those cases, and some that we hadn't done in our district. I even got a chance to do a federal murder case, which is kind of odd because typically those kinds of cases are handled by the state. But it was something that happened on the base, or the body was left on the base in Columbus. And so I was able to conduct a murder trial. And so had a wonderful career and thought I would retire from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Already had my gig after retirement mapped out, what I was going to do, because I was going to be able to retire before I got to retirement age. And so I thought, okay, I'll do this, and then I'll still have my federal benefits. But it did not quite work out like that.
Oh my goodness. Just awesome with that. So on your time as a prosecutor, and we hear a lot about, especially in the Macon, Georgia area, or in the middle Georgia area, really all over, not just in Georgia, but all over. There is a lot of crime. But there's specifically seem to be like a lot of black on black crime. Have you thought about, like, do you have any idea of how could we kind of, what can be done about that, if anything? What are your thoughts on that?
I was thinking about that question before we came on the air. And I will tell you, I think we have gotten so far removed from the basics that it's almost going to take a generation for us to get back to where we need to be.
I agree.
And I say that because we have bought in stock and barrel, and probably because of, even though we have ways to go, we have progressed. And a part of that progression, in my mind, has done a disservice to us because we've gotten away from the core values that kept us intact and kept us loving each other. So I think so many times people in our community can see each other, but they don't see themselves. And when you stop seeing people within your community as a part of you, then you can do anything, because there are no limits, because you don't see the humanity or the connection that you have with someone who's just like you.
Wow.
And so the reason why I say I think it would take a generation, because it's retraining our adults in how to even raise our children. Yeah. We've got to get back to basics. I mean, it's nice to have this stuff of life, but it doesn't mean anything if we get away from the basics.
Yes.
Like, you just can't, we can't get cars and houses to the tune of not being available for our children to give them the time and the instruction they need to be the kind of people we want them to be.
Oh my God.
And I've been I don't have a perfect life. I've been a single parent for most of my kids' lives. I was a single parent. And so, but what I knew is it was all about, my mom used to say this to me, when you have children, it's no longer about you. It's all about them. You cease to matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I embraced that. And so my life was revolved around my children. Yes, I would allow myself to have fun, but I wouldn't miss a game. I wouldn't miss a PTO meeting. I wouldn't miss time for us sitting at the table to eat dinner together. Because like I told them, we're a family. Regardless of our constitution of members in the family, we're a family.
I love
And
it.
so we've got to get back to that. Because when we get back to that, we can see each other as ourselves. And
Yes.
when you can see yourself in someone else, it's hard to pull the trigger on somebody else.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. I totally agree with you wholeheartedly because it's not just up to one person to solve it. It takes all of us as a community. And you're right. I've been saying this. It really is a heart matter, right? We've
Hmm.
lost that, as I say, that lovely feeling, that feeling of love. We don't love ourselves. When you don't love
Exactly.
yourself, it's hard for you to love anybody else. You don't have a true understanding of what love really is. If you're not good to yourself, you're not going to be good to anyone else, and neither are you going to be good for anyone else either. So I just so applaud you on coming up with that reply, that response, because it is true, and that's exactly what it's going to take. It really is a hard matter. We've got to start doing the work.
Yeah. And another thing I think in our community, those of us who make it to positions and when we're doing well in life, we've got to learn to be authentic and really be willing to share the journey so that people can see it's not just the glory, it was a journey in the process. and
Exactly.
and I think that might help people who struggle with saying, well, I want this, I want that. If they see that it wasn't always that way, then
Right.
maybe they can understand it's a process.
Yes, exactly. I love it. And that is so true. And it's so fitting with what I've been trying to do. And I was having this conversation with a cousin, and I was saying to her, like, I hope people really can see what I'm doing here with Wow. I'm bringing on, people that are at the pinnacle of their career, but they all have a story to tell. It wasn't just this just landed in my lap and this is the way it is, but through blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of it's hard work. It's the process that you went through,
Mhm.
of becoming Justice Verda M. Colvin. It wasn't easy. It was a lot that went into that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so awesome. I love it. I love it. So listen, I want you to just share your thoughts on what it means, because we're in the midst of celebrating Black history, right? And
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be just this month. I think that we have to be very intentional about sharing our history and being knowledgeable about our history and our contributions to
Mhm.
America. And so I just want you, if you would, share your thoughts on what it means to be the first African American female appointed by a Republican governor of the state's high court. So tell us about that, if you would.
Yeah. This is not my first time being the first. Like I was the first African American appointed to the Macon Judicial Circuit, first African American female to ever serve on the Macon Judicial Circuit. And I long for the time when we stop having the first. I want us to get all the first out the way so we can have it's like a normal thing for us to
Yeah.
reach these levels and to have these opportunities
Wow.
because I'm no different than anyone else. I offer myself for service, and I've always tried to do my best and strive for excellence. That's kind of like my hallmark. In everything you do, strive for excellence. And so it's an honor, but it's also a sad honor to me that, the first, like I was the first African American female to ever serve in the Macon Judicial Circuit in 2014.
Wow. Wow.
The first, yeah, the first to be African American female to be appointed by a Republican governor in 2020, because I think it was 21 for the Supreme Court, and then probably 20 for the Court of Appeal. So it's just, I want us to get beyond that. If we could start, and I know I'm an idealistic person. I mean, I'm one of those people, I see the glass half full. That's just how I live life, because any other way is living in defeat, and I just can't do that. And
Awesome.
so I want us to get to that point, but it's going to take a lot of work because we get in our silos and we see each other as enemies. And so I'm happy to be the first, but I so want us to move beyond that so that it can be a regular occurrence under anybody, whether white, black, Republican,
Yes,
Democrat,
yes, yes.
independent. That's what it's supposed to be. And it's so odd to me that our country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and in
Said.
so many ways we have gotten far afield from all of that.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm happy, but also it saddens me to think that we're still making first.
Wow, and you know what? And when you put it that way, I mean, to be honest, I never really thought about it that way, but you are exactly right. Like it shouldn't be, and especially like when you put the date out there, it really hit me. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. We're way beyond some things. And so even though we seem like we have made progress, when you put those data out there, it just shows that we still have a lot further to
Mhm.
go. We do. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. So I just mentioned about, of course, we're celebrating Black History Month, and then we have coming up is March is Women's History Month. So could you please share with us your thoughts on the significance of these celebratory months? Like, is there any significance for you? And, how do you see yourself in terms of, a woman of making history? And I think you've clarified how you feel about being the first in terms of Black history.
Mhm. Um, I think it's just vitally important that we recognize the history of all people.
Yes.
We forget this, but America is a melting pot. And one of the reasons why we became the nation that we are still striving to hold this title for is because we recognize the value that everybody brings. And so recognizing Black History Month and Women's History Month is important about who we are as a country, as a people. And so to me, it's extremely necessary. And it also makes us mindful that we have to remember that everybody has value and everybody has worth.
Yes.
And if we could all get that and really ingest that, perhaps some of the racial animus that we experience now as a nation would no longer be because everybody has value.
Yes. I love it. Oh my goodness.
Certainly African Americans and certainly women.
You are absolutely right. I just love it. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, oh my God, she is the justice, but my goodness, I can see the title of president. You talk like a president, right? So I
Oh,
love it. Listen, so in our wrap up, I just want to know if you have, first of all, any events or activities that you'd like to make the audience aware of. I know that I believe I read that you are coming up upon, you've announced that you're going to run again for your
mhm.
position. So anything that you want to bring out and you want to make our viewers aware of.
Well, as you said, I was appointed in the end of July, so I started really August 1st. And so the way our Constitution is written, if you are appointed within 6 months of the 6 months or more of the election, then you have to run it the next election cycle. So I think I'll be 6 months and 2 weeks. So as a result of that, I have to run to retain my seat in May. And so I'm juggling working and trying to campaign to hopefully ward off anyone running against me because it's a statewide election. And I've
Yes,
never run statewide before. I've always run locally, like in the Macon Judicial Circuit.
right.
And because I was adverse to all that you have to do to run, I always paid my own qualifying fee to run for office. I feel like if you want to be a public servant, then you're willing to, to pay to
Mhm.
serve. But running statewide is a whole different ball game. So I have to reach out to people to try to get support for my campaign. So I think having me on the court makes a difference. I think diversity matters. I think diversity in sex, race, and cultural experience matters. And I bring a different perspective in all those ways. So I want to retain my seat. So that's something to keep your heads up. We need to vote. And so I hope you all will vote in May. It's not one of the elections that people run out to vote for because it's not the presidential, but every election cycle is important because
Yes,
every election cycle affects our lives.
that's true.
So that's my hope. But one thing I think you may have wanted to ask me about or may have mentioned something about for Black History Month, I'm kind of doing a double Black History and Women's History, I guess, celebration. I'm going to go see the play at the Alliance Theater, Tony
Mhm.
Stone. The
Mhm.
first African American female to play in the major Negro baseball league. And so it shows guts, all that she had to deal with. And so I'm excited about going to see that next Sunday. So yay.
Yay, yay, yay.
Well, this
Good.
Sunday coming, I guess. Yeah. So
Yo, awesome. That is so awesome. That is just so awesome. So happy to hear that. So we have just under 5 minutes here left
okay.
within the show, but I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you would, because this is all about, wow, is as I had mentioned to you, it's all about encouraging, inspiring, and motivating people to be the best version of themselves. So sometimes if people can see themselves in someone else, that lights a fire, gives them hope that if Justice Verda Colvin did this, right? Then I can do it too, right? And so that's
Yes.
that's the whole platform, and that's the whole purpose of wanting to bring people to the forefront so that they would be able to see. Because where I come from, which is a small town here in Georgia, Dry Branch, Georgia, Twiggs County. And so I tell my story of saying I guess I had a really small mindset and was not really aware of all of the opportunities that are out there for me, right? And so I had the opportunity to meet wonderful people and have been able to make connections with a lot of people, not just African American people or people who look like
Mm-hmm.
me, but people in general who are just doing awesome things. But I also wanted to make sure that I was also showing our people are doing things as well. Like we are doing awesome things, and you don't always get to hear or see that. So, do you have any words of encouragement that you would like to share with our audience today? I call these wow moments. So, give us a
Okay.
wow moment if you would.
Well, I just want everybody to know if you can dream it, you can do it, you can be it. I too didn't have anybody when I was growing up who was a lawyer. I didn't know a lawyer. Neither of my parents had gone to college. I remember I was smart in school, and so I had gotten letters from Harvard and Yale to apply, but I didn't even apply because in my mind that was just too far out. I couldn't even envision it because my parents didn't have that background. So I
Right.
never applied. I went to a school that was smaller because I wanted to make sure that I had the support that I needed. And
Mhm.
so I want to say to you, don't live small. Go for it. The
Wow.
most anything anybody can say or anything can happen is somebody says no, or you have to start anew. But you don't ever want to look at your life and have some regrets. And one of my regrets is I regret not at least applying. Who knows what would have happened, but what might have happened had I applied and actually went or at least considered it. Now, I think no matter what road you take, I think what is meant for you is going to be for you, and nothing will get in the way of that. But my thought is go for it. And, I say all the time to adults, for children, they can't be what they can't see. But once you're an adult, you have the ability to see all the possibilities. And why can't that be you? I mean, I was a little girl, went to public school from fifth grade to graduating in 12th grade. I went to a school in Southwest Atlanta, which wasn't the be all end all of the schools. We were kind of like considered kind of like a little lower than say the Mays High or Southwest Atlanta or even Douglas. But I still had dreams, I had aspirations, and look at what I've done. And I think it's all about your motivation, like what you believe for yourself and what you're willing to do. And I just believe this. I'm crazy enough to believe it. Anything you want bad enough, if you work hard enough for, you can reach it. You can get there. But you got to be willing to put in the work and believe that you're able, you're capable, and you deserve it just as much as the next person. And then go for it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. And that was definitely a wow moment. You really gave words of wisdom, right? And so thank you so much for sharing that. Again, I want to thank you so much for taking time out to come here on Wow with me to wow to wish only well to our viewers all across the world. So I thank you so much. I know that your time is very valuable. But again,
No
I
more
just
valuable than yours and the listeners. So
oh, thank you so much. You're just so awesome all around. I am so happy to have made the connection. And listen, I would be happy to assist you in whatever way I can because we want to make sure that you are able to maintain your seat. So we're gonna sign out. We're gonna sign off, guys. And you know what we do? We wish only well all across the world. So it is absolutely a good day, a fabulous day, a wonderful Wednesday indeed. It is a great day for you to wow, to wish only well all across the world. That's all it takes. One kind smile, one hello, and you can just really light up someone's day. Okay, until next time, see you guys, and don't forget to wow.